In the scripture, Abraham didn't have any children, yet God called him the father of many nations. Gideon was insecure, afraid. He said, God, I can't lead the Israelites. I come from the poorest family. He saw himself as weak, unqualified, yet God called him a mighty hero. You will hear things in your spirit that don't make sense to your mind. You'll think, I'm not free. I still have this addiction. Gideon said, I'm not a mighty hero. I'm the least one in my father's house. Abraham said, in effect, I'm not a father of many nations. I don't have one child. But if you're going to see it come to pass, you have to believe what you hear in your spirit and not what you see with your eyes. You have to walk by faith and not by sight. Your circumstances may look like you'll never get well, never get out of debt, never meet the right person. But if you'll listen down in your spirit, you'll hear a voice saying, healing is coming. You will lend and not borrow. New doors are about to open. Favor is in your future. Don't let what you see with your eyes talk you out of what you've heard in your spirit. God is saying to you what He said to Gideon. You are a mighty hero. You're going to accomplish big things. You're going to go further than you've imagined. He's saying to you what He said to Abraham. You're going to have those children. You're going to conceive. Your baby is on the way. He's saying to you what He said to David. You're going to defeat that giant. Yes, that obstacle is big, but you have greatness in you. You are anointed, equipped, empowered. Now quit being discouraged by what you see and start being encouraged by what you hear. The scripture says the things we see are only temporary, but what we hear, what God speaks to us, that's permanent. One translation says the things we see are subject to change. That sickness may look permanent. The truth is, it's subject to change. One touch of God's favor, suddenly you'll be well. That addiction you've struggled with for years, looks like that's your destiny. Don't believe that lie. It's subject to change. You may feel like you're stuck, not getting good breaks, not seeing any growth. Stay in faith. It's subject to change. God has the final say. He said, the path of the righteous, your path, gets brighter and brighter. If you'll listen, you'll hear that voice saying, new levels are coming, new opportunities, new relationships. 1 Kings chapter 18, there was a great drought. It hadn't rained in over 3.5 years. The crops had dried up. The food supply was limited. People were worried. They didn't know what they were going to do. The prophet Elijah came along and told the king, I hear the sound of an abundance of rain. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. Everywhere he looked, it was dry, barren, no trees, no vegetation. It had been that way for years. I'm sure the king thought, Elijah, this heat is getting to you. You're hearing things. There's no thunder. There's no sound of an abundance of rain. It's just the way it's always been. But that's the way God is. In a drought, God will talk to you about rain. In lack, He'll talk to you about abundance. When you feel insignificant, like you could never make much out of your life, He'll talk to you about greatness. He'll put things in your spirit that seem impossible to accomplish. Or when you're lonely, you don't think you'll ever meet the right person, He'll talk to you about a divine connection. He speaks to your spirit about what's coming. But very often, it's just the opposite of what our circumstances look like. You heard abundance, but all you can see is lack. You heard healing, all you can see is sickness. Or you heard new levels, all you can see is more of the same. The question is, whose report are you going to believe? What you saw with your eyes or the report of the Lord, what you heard in your spirit? Like Elijah, I hear the sound of breakthroughs, the sound of freedom, the sound of healing. I hear the sound of new levels, the sound of abundance. God is about to do a new thing. He's going to exceed your expectations. You may not see any sign of it. Everything looks the same. Well, get ready. The rain is coming. What you heard is on the way. Well, I heard in my spirit that I'd start my own business. But all I see is this job I'm working at. I must have heard wrong. Stay encouraged, is coming. Your circumstances may say, you've reached your limits. You've gone as far as you can. Just settle there. That's one report. If you believe that, you'll get stuck. But if you'll tune that out and believe the report of the Lord, believe what you hear down in your spirit, that will override what you hear in the natural. When you get in agreement with God, you will become what He says about you. Maybe you're facing an illness. God says, by His stripes, you are healed. Believe the report of the Lord and healing is coming. But you're struggling with an addiction. God says, whom the Son sets free is free indeed. Believe His report and freedom is coming. What you hear will override what you see. When Elijah heard the sound of an abundance of rain, that drought had been going on over 3 years. No sign of rain. He could have thought, I'm keeping this to myself. I'm not going to tell anyone. They'll think I'm crazy. But Elijah had the boldness to announce what he heard. He went right to the king, said, I hear the sound of an abundance of rain. Here's the principle. It's not enough to just believe what you've heard. You need to announce it. If you're sick, tell someone, I'm healthy, I'm whole, I will live and not die. They may look at you and think, what do you mean? You saw the medical report. There's no sign of you getting better. When you announce it, it sets the miracle into motion. Your words have creative power. You give life to your faith by speaking it out. The scripture says, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. If you want to get well, say so. If you want to break that addiction, say so. If you want to accomplish your dream, say so. There may not be any sign of it, but like Elijah, you need to announce to people, I'm blessed, I'm free. We're going to have this baby. We're going to move into that new house. Our son is going to do great things. Are you sure? I thought your son was off course. I thought he was running with the wrong crowd, getting into trouble. Yes, but that's temporary. That's subject to change. That's what you see with your eyes. But what I heard in my spirit is, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. If you'll start announcing what you heard, not arrogantly, not like a know-it-all, but in humility, with the quiet confidence, that's your faith being released. That's what allows God to do great things.